Just before we went into the break, Mayank Gandhi, who heads the Mumbai wing of the Aam Aadmi Party, one of the more prominent faces of the AAP, made a very important revelation. He says that the Aam Aadmi Party will fight the BMC elections in February 2017. I want to build on that, man, because the last time you were amongst the key people who convinced Anna Hazare and Kejriwal to come to Mumbai, the event was a disaster. Nobody showed up. The response that AAP got in Mumbai was completely lukewarm. What makes you think that this time will be different, Mayank?
So there are a couple of things. I accept the fact that the agitation of Anna in Mumbai was not very, because that was for variety of factors, including the timing, the location, everything. But you must also remember that during the height of the Anna movement, we had rallies in Mumbai, one of which I remember had more than 2 lakh people, the Bandra to Juhu one, which is bigger than any rallies across the nation. So it's not that the Mumbai people is apathetic to this movement or to the anti-corruption. And if you look at BMC, BMC is a place where there is so much corruption, a 36,000 crore budget,
so
and nothing moves without money.
Are similar. Hold that thought. I want to put this to a panel of experts. I'll start with Ashok Lahiri. Do you believe that this is a good idea for the AAP to try and test the waters in the BMC elections in Mumbai? There's a lot of corruption there like there is in the MCD. Will that succeed or will that boomerang?
No, if you ask me whether they should or not, I think they should. Because like BSP, it has always put up candidates everywhere. I mean,
but ultimately reach nowhere.
That's different. But they form a government in UP. The political party cannot afford to be away from the scene. But the second question is, will it succeed? Mind you, the main challenge for the India against corruption was how to move from mobilization to a sustained political movement. And Kejriwal, where he has succeeded, is in setting up a party and also winning Delhi. But does it mean that you'll be able to spread the political structure everywhere, all over? I doubt.
You have got doubts about this. Surjit Bhalla, is this a good idea or is it a recipe for disaster?
Well, first, as you informed us, it's in February 2017. So that's 2 years from now. I think I agree with Ashok. They should contest, and their winnability will depend on the performance here. Very simply, if they don't perform up to expectations. Now, one of the things.
But do you believe Mumbai is fertile hunting ground for the Aam Aadmi Party?
If they perform exceedingly well over here, it will be fertile. It will be fertile. If they don't perform exceedingly well over here, it will not be fertile.
So this does confirm one thing, that AAP is a model of urban politics in the mega cities in India. It is indeed confirming with the trends of Latin American countries, the Workers' Party, the PT, the Trabajadores.
Why don't you tell our viewers a little more about what's happening there?
So here, basically, on the politics of inequality, city-based parties come up. That happens all over Latin America.
Where all has this happened successfully?
It's happened in Brazil, for example, what you've later seen as the Workers' Party and Lula's coming in. And therefore, not the politics of freebies, but a sustained method of a social democracy, of social policies being put in place that are not freebie-oriented.
City-states to actually occupy the entire country.
But they start as city politics.
Sao Paulo occupy the entire country.
Sao Paulo, for example, has a very important city politics. That's the kind of politics that we could see happening in Delhi. We could see this type of politics indeed going on to other mega cities of India. Mumbai one, Bangalore is the other place.
Is there a fear that we could possibly get carried away in the same fashion as after the December verdict of 2013, people said, oh, you must contest all over.
Not all over, just the cities.
Interview saying that he'll get 400 seats. Did the Aam Aadmi Party get carried away then? It did. Is there a fear that they could get carried away again?
I don't think so. I don't think they'll get carried away. And I think you have to choose your target very carefully. Where state governments have not succeeded in delivering civic amenities to people, you have to choose those places. If the Fadnavis government in Maharashtra is unable to deliver on infrastructure, whether it's metro rail or whether it's anything else, its inability to deliver will be leveraged.
But the reality, Mayank, is that you don't have as strong a party structure in Mumbai as you do in Delhi.
True, but you must understand that the first Delhi election was won with enthusiasm, but the next one, which we got 67 seats, we had built an organization structure in the last 7-8 months. We have already begun doing that in Mumbai, and we hope that in the next 6 months we would have gone right down to the polling booth.
Chetan, you spent a lot of time in Mumbai.
So I live there.
Will the Aam Aadmi Party, the idea of the Aam Aadmi Party succeed in its second attempt?
Yeah.
See, Aam Aadmi Party was doing well even in their first attempt, then they did a few self-goals themselves. Otherwise, they kind of scaled up too fast. But I think the issues are the same. What you also have in Mumbai now is the Shiv Sena having a big identity crisis.
As also the MNS.
Yeah, MNS, Shiv Sena. Then NCP and Congress have no credibility. So there is only the same opponent, BJP, which they have taken on here. Then the BMC is considered corrupt, not considered efficient. The potholes in Mumbai never go away. So I think now they'll have to separate. There'll be a team which only goes for party building, and there'll be a team which runs governance in Delhi. I would even say hire people from Singapore to run Delhi if you have to. But don't give up on governance in Delhi. That's what happened last time. Arvind got into the mode to promote the party and forgot about Delhi. But here, one segment just Delhi, 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 and the other segment goes and starts growing. And I think it can do extremely well. Mumbai will be the best place for them next because it gets
not a lot of. You think?
Well, that's
They've got
obvious, but it doesn't give it doesn't give that multiplier effect. Yeah. Mumbai gives if you win Delhi and Mumbai, the media coverage, the celebrities that can endorse you, the kind of profile you can build there can really have a huge spin-off.
Javed, will Mumbai be as easy to penetrate as Delhi has been?
Certainly not, for several reasons. One, Aam Aadmi Party was born out of this agitation which took place in Delhi. This is the center, the nerve center. They have an organization. They've had a couple of 2 years at least to build an organization. In Mumbai, they're still in the nascent stage. So it will be, I still believe they ought to contest. They will certainly not meet with as spectacular a success as they have in Delhi. But nonetheless, they need to make their mark and begin somewhere.
No, but Mayank, a counter thought would be what Kumar Vishwas told us on Seedhi Baat. He said, "Jitni chadar milegi, utne hi pair pasarenge." One old woman apparently told Kejriwal this, and it made a big dent on him. Now, suddenly, you're trying to extend the chadar. The chadar is only for Delhi, but you're now trying to take it to Punjab. You want to take it to Mumbai. Should the focus not be in the initial years just on proving to the people of the capital and thereby to the rest of the country that this is a mandate you're capable of executing?
So I concede the fact that the Delhi organization is more powerful than the Mumbai one, but Mumbai is not distant far, and we have 2 years, and we cannot just be doing Delhi and not other. But this time we have to select certain target places and do things there, and Mumbai definitely becomes one of them, and there are 2 years to do that.
Okay.
So I think if a sensible approach is done,
and also on this panel, and I want to focus just for a moment because this idea of, to my mind at least, Surjit Bhalla, I'm just coming back to you. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. I'm coming back to you because to my mind at least, this whole CSDS data reflects that the idea of free bijli, free pani has been at the essence of Aam Aadmi Party's popularity. They've made this promise over a 5-year period. Can they sustain it, thereby showing the Mumbai voters as well that give us a chance, we'll change your life?
Well, let me first, I know you've got an opinion poll which substantiates that the people voted for Aam Aadmi Party because of free bijli and
bijli, pani and then corruption.
Yeah. I completely disagree, but that's what opinions are all about on the first two, that it is free bijli or free pani. I think if that was the case, then Kejriwal and AAP would have won 400 seats in the national election. Because if it appeals to Delhiwalas, it should appeal to everybody. What a beautiful idea, free bijli, free pani. So I don't think that has anything. I think corruption does. I think the municipal corporation does. And as we've discussed several, that I think the opposition also helped Kejriwal a lot. It is unclear what will happen. So I think performance on the local level, which I think everybody is agreed on, is going to be maha-critical. You don't perform, you're out. Yeah. That is one of the lessons that I think Modi should take out of this. Somewhere along the line he hasn't performed.
Is there another problem there, Ashok Lahiri, that the people are so restive? In 9 months they've already made up their minds that Modi is not performing. Is that even correct? Is it fair to suggest that people have come to the conclusion that Modi is not performing as per expectation?
See, the impatience is a signature mark of any democracy. Now also with pension being promised to the members of parliament and members of legislative assembly after 1 term, everyone thinks that if I can get elected this time, it's fine. My life is made. So all sorts of promises are made.
No, but can these promises be kept?
I don't think so.
If you were to do back of the envelope
so. For example, take water. The Aam Aadmi Party has promised 20,000 litres of lifeline water supply, which will include me and you as well. There is no targeting of subsidies. Lifeline water supply cannot be 20,000 litres per family, because normally even in Europe, what a normal individual consumes is about 130, 140 liters per day. So what will have to be done? Now the challenge for Aam Aadmi Party will be to scale down the promises and deliver what is deliverable.
Then people will be up in arms, Chetan, the moment you scale it down.
No, but that assumes that people
but Mr. Bhalla, you're
buying this.
At your income level, at the level at which the vote has been given to the Aam Aadmi Party, that person will cry and say, you promised me free bijli, you promised me free pani, now Kejriwal, give me free bijli.
There is going to answer your own question. All of them, assume all of those people who cannot afford, all 40% of them, which is a huge overestimate, will vote for AAP and they'll be happy. What about the other 60%? This thing is not about the bottom 40%. This is about everybody. And that is the mistake that the Aam Aadmi Party should not make. This is not about freebie.
Manisha.
There's a caveat here. Look, this is a promise and it will turn out to be a Chunavi Jumla because a large part of the unauthorized colonies, you can't even give them this lifeline supply.
Why not?
Because they are not on the pipeline. They are pipe dreams. Just a minute. There are tanker wars daily in the richest parts of South Delhi, and therefore water is under the control of the police or under the control of those who own land. So we have in fact a civic revolution happening every morning when our drivers are getting ready to report for duty. There are tanker wars that are breaking out. Do you know that there are parts of the city that are given 20 minutes of water supply once every month, and they pay haftas for it, they pay the water mafia for it. So what Mr. Kejriwal will do is actually first get the pipelines working. 20,000 kiloliters comes only after that. So what he will effectively do is rationalize and make basic supplies available in many different ways.
But that's a good thing.
Even though to the electorate he will keep saying I am giving lifeline, so everybody thinks there will be a water cloud bursting over Delhi. What might actually be a good thing to do is to actually have pipe dreams be realized and let people have some water.
But there will be
rationality rather than
if the goalpost starts changing. If you call it a Chunavi Jumla later, that's not going to go down very well.
Firstly, they should have never said Jumla is not. But I think as long as people also know that there is a certain overpromise, if they do 70%, then and the people kind of perceive you as you are trying your best, you're kind of home.
But
there will be but is the Indian population ever satisfied?
No, and that is a big concern.
They weren't satisfied with Manmohan Singh. Suddenly they're not satisfied with Modi. Will they be satisfied with Arvind Kejriwal?
That's a very valid question.
ये मेरी पत्नी है। ये कभी भी सामने नहीं आती क्योंकि ये सरकार में काम करती हैं। एक डर लगा रहता है कि कभी ये सरकार में काम करती है तो एक डर लगा रहता है कि कभी सरकार इनके खिलाफ एक्शन ना ले ले। तो आज मैं इनको खींच के ले आया। मैंने कहा डरो मत, सरकार कोई एक्शन नहीं लेगी। दोस्तों, जो कुछ भी मेहनत मैं करता हूं वो मैं मेहनत बिल्कुल नहीं कर पाता अगर मुझे इनका साथ नहीं मिलता। मेरे पिताजी हैं, अगर इनका आशीर्वाद ना होता तो हम कुछ भी नहीं कर सकते थे। हमारे बुजुर्गों का आशीर्वाद और हमारे परिवार का त्याग, हमारे परिवार का सपोर्ट, जो कुछ भी हम कर रहे हैं उसके लिए बहुत जरूरी है। दोस्तों, आप सब लोगों का बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। भारत माता की।
Kiran Bedi has just made a comment. I think that's very interesting. I have not lost. The BJP is a national party. They should introspect why they lost. Is there a growing feeling in the Kiran Bedi camp at least that maybe the BJP knew that this was going to happen and she was a sacrificial goal? Manisha.
You know, you used a very nice word, the Kiran Bedi camp. I want to understand what that camp is. There's also the...
her activist, Navjyoti, her sister, all the people.
tendency also that they operate out of camps. So is she out of that mindset? My own understanding, looking at her from the ground, has been that she has not been able to, in terms of political communication, get over her past role as a policewoman and a very, very successful policewoman of the city. Those of us who were young when she handled the Asian Games, we remember her as a crane woman. But in politics, her avatar number 2, we did not see her making that transition.
Aditi,
therefore, I bust the theory of her having a camp. I think she would be very lonely in defeat, Rahul.
I don't know if she'll stay on in politics. BJP is not very forgiving of electoral defeats. I mean, we've seen that in the past.
No, but can they blame her? Is it fair to blame her? How much of the blame would be attributable to her, Dhananjay? Is there some data point that measures that?
Yeah, of course, you know, she, as everybody on this panel probably thought that she will be a masterstroke.
No, I didn't.
But you didn't, right? You disagreed, and I remember that. But the moment we did the tracker poll, and we did a snap poll on Kiran Bedi, and although we didn't come out with the vote share figures, the pollster never gives up an opportunity to use the ballot. And the vote share started coming down for the BJP. And the trail started there. So I'm not going to say that it's only Kiran Bedi, but as her opponent said, the more she spoke, the better they did.
I have some interesting data available. In this election, if you look at the last 5 victories for the Bharatiya Janata Party, whether it is in Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Gujarat, the number of votes won by the BJP, by the Aam Aadmi Party, are the highest, 54. That hasn't happened in the Lok Sabha elections, didn't happen in Madhya Pradesh, didn't happen in Rajasthan, where it was only 45% each. Right. Didn't happen for the BJP in UP or Gujarat. Even in Gujarat, it was only 48%. So this is bigger, more concentration of vote share than ever before.
Right.
Than Narendra Modi.
Yeah, but do you think the suit had something to do with it? Chetan, you have a suit as well. It's got some pinstripes. Doesn't have your name. Can I just check?
It is. You need a special microscope for it.
It has the Chetan Bhagat name. No, but you have your name somewhere.
I wish I didn't even. Yeah, that's just the laundry guy putting something. But I think the suit. You know, I've been to 5 to 6 cities, and across economic classes, people like very rich people, the biggest Modi fans have said, "What is this? Ye hazam nahi hua." You know, what is this? And I think it's a fear in people that somebody will go there and the whole chai wala jumping classes, and will he become one of them, or will he stay one of my own? And this suit didn't gel well. I mean, it's just
can the suit
political disaster
to a part, at least for what happened, Ashok Lahiri? It seems to have caught on in public imagination. This figure of 10 lakh.
The only thing that Rahul Gandhi
may not be true, but it's sunk in people's head.
If I can just take Mr. Lahiri's permission and speak before he does. The only thing that Rahul Gandhi got right in this election was this 10 lakh suit. He played a blind shot and it went for a 4. Right. And everybody, the credit of course went to somebody else, but the fact is, there is a huge disconnect right now.
No, but there is a difference. You know well that Rahul in his private functions wears fancy clothes himself. Modi just wore it publicly.
Yeah, so what you do in private is one thing, what you do as Prime Minister is another. The point I was making is, Rahul, that there is a disconnect, growing disconnect between Mr. Modi's government and the poor. This is being seen as a gadar. You know, they are likely to fall victim of the same paradigm that was earlier.
But what happens if he wins Bihar? Then will we say that the poor are back in luck?
No, right now we're talking of this. Yeah. Permit me to finish.
We'll say that then. Yeah. Right now they're unhappy. No. Is it not just about
this?
I think the credit will not be given to Modi as much if BJP wins.
The Shining India syndrome is coming back again.
Bihar, it's going to be the local guys, and maybe that's a good thing.
This is a very important point that Javed
made. Shining India syndrome.
It's a very, very important point that when they're in power, because they're doing well, people around them are starting to do well, they start thinking that India is shining. And the man outside the studio, the one on the street, the one who has the vote and the most important tool in this battle, says, I'm not shining. You know, kiske achhe din aaye? Mere achhe din nahi aaye.
There are two things which are very important. One, we have, call it unhealthy interest in the private lives of political leaders. We are very much interested to know what they eat, what they are wearing, where they are going for holidays. This cannot be suppressed. So political leaders have to be careful about their personal life.
But Modi doesn't take a holiday. He works from early in the morning till late into the night.
May have been a good rallying point for opposition leaders. I don't think it's a substantive issue, but it was made an issue.
The reality is there wasn't excessive media coverage of the suit either. Yet the idea of the suit seems to have percolated far deeper than the number of minutes or column inches space devoted to it.
I think the BJP has a problem with suits.
No, I think he needed...
The same thing happened with the Raymond ad. which said India shining, and the same thing is happening now with this suit.
I think, you know, it could have been curtailed if Mr. Modi explained it, that somebody gifted it to me or whatever. But the whole thing that I don't need to explain it. This is too
No,
beneath
but the Prime
me.
Minister has been asked this question about changing clothes too often, and he said that I represent the country, and if I'm going into a flight and the flight is for 12 hours and I come out of it, I want to look prim and proper, because at the end of the day,
Fair enough.
That's fair enough.
Fair
But nobody ever said
Perfectly,
people
that's
actually
the
like this
thing.
sense of style and everything. But I think the fact that this news is not reaching him, that a lot of people are upset about the suit, take a countermeasure immediately. This news doesn't reach him because people around him are quiet, they are scared. The respect has turned to fear, and that's where the biggest problem of the BJP today is.